Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I just want to say thank you to all my old subscribers and welcome to all my new subscribers. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. Today I am making strawberry jam. I found a really good deal on fresh strawberries at Aldi's today, so I'm going to make up a small batch of strawberry jam, something my family really enjoys. So I am using the recipe out of the DIY canning book. It calls for 2 pounds of strawberries, and I have everything here that's needed. I have my strawberries cleaned and whole. I am using bottled lemon juice instead of fresh lemon juice, is what the recipe calls for. I have my sugar here and my butter. It doesn't call for butter, but I used a little bit and I'll tell you the reason later. I'll show you. So this one doesn't have any pectin because it is fresh strawberries. It is fresh fruit, so they have their own pectin. So I like a smoother jam than most. My hubby likes sort of chunky. So I'm trying to go for an in-between, not too chunky, not too smooth, if that makes sense. So what you do first is just mash up your strawberries to the consistency you want your jam to be. If you want it a bit chunky, like I said, mash it up a little less. So now I have it mashed to the consistency that I want. I'm adding my 1 teaspoon of lemon juice, and then I'm going to add my 4 cups of sugar. I know it's a lot of sugar, but there are low sugar recipes that you can use out there, and this is the one we like to do, so this is what I'm going to do. You just mix it in. I know it looks like a lot and it's not going to mix in, but as you will see in 2 seconds, it mixes in perfectly fine. So just keep mixing it until you get to this stage. I know I'm using a small pot. You probably want to use a bigger pot. I've done this several times, so I know it works. With a smaller pot, you can't walk away from it. It will boil over on you. You have to keep sort of your eye on it and keep stirring it once to get to that stage. So now what I'm looking for is just to get it to a boil. As you will see here, it is starting to boil a little bit, but I want it to boil much more than this before I move on to my next step. So I'm just going to add my butter in here because as you can see, it is starting to foam up. But once I add my butter, pretty much all the foam has dissipated, which is a good thing. So I'm just going to stir until that boil comes. As you can see, it's starting to finally boil, but you want to take it to a rapid boil. And a rapid boil meaning that when you're stirring it, you can't stir it down. So basically, you can stir it and it will still be bubbling up. So as you can see, mine is starting to get to that stage finally. You also want to use a longer spoon. This is a video of what not to do pretty much. So use a longer spoon and a bigger pot. Just that I don't have a bigger spoon. I really need to invest in it. And here is my rapid boil stage. As you can see, I'm stirring it, but it's still boiling. So at this point, you want to set your timer for 10 minutes. And you want to be able to test it at 5. So now that my jam is ready, I've tested it, and it is ready to be jarred up. I have my warm sterilized jars here. I am doing 3 pints instead of 6 half pints, and I also have my water bath canner ready to go. And basically it's a big stock pot that when I sit my pints in, I could put an inch of water over the top of them. So that's hot and ready to go. So now I'm just going to ladle in my hot jam into my sterilized jars at a 1/4 inch headspace. It's a 1/4 inch headspace for jam. So I'm going to do that for all the jars. Then I'm going to make sure that my rims of my jars are wiped clean, because with jam it can get every which way. So you want to make sure that you fill it up correctly and you get your rims exceptionally clean. Here I am with a debubble tool. You want to make sure you debubble these. It's quite easy to do this because it's pretty much fluid, but you want to make sure you debubble just in case there's any bubbles trapped in between any of the fruit or any of the jam and the sides of the jars. So you want to make sure, even with jam, that you debubble your jars. That's a really important step. So this is my pot left. I've left nothing in the pot whatsoever. Right down. And you see those scratches? That's why I use a silicone spoon. I really need to invest in a longer one. So now that my jars are filled, I want to make sure I wipe the rims really clean. I have a tissue here with some white vinegar on it, and I want to make sure it's clean. As you can see, I'm coming up with a little bit of jam from the rims, just probably from moving the funnel from jar to jar. Then you put your rings and lids on, and into the water bath canner it goes. And this is just a big stock pot that allows me 1 inch of water over my jars. And you're going to process this for 10 minutes. Once that is done, I take it off a heat, turn it off, take it off a heat, and just let it sit for probably about 5 minutes or so. And once it's come down a little bit, that's when I take my jars out. I don't immediately take them out. So I take them out and put them on, this is a silicone pot rest. You don't want to put them on a cold counter because that could crack your jars, and then all that work has gone to waste. So don't tip them over to the side to take that water off the top either. It will evaporate eventually. Just leave it there, and you can hear the pinging as I'm going along and taking my jars out of this nice warm bath. And you just want to make sure your rings are tight so you can get a really good seal. Even though they have pinged, you still want to tighten them down and make sure they're snug. And this is the finished product. It looks oh so delicious. So as you can see, there's still some water on the top, but that will dissipate. So at this point, I will leave them sitting on my counter covered for 24 hours. Then I will take the rings off, wash my jars, label them, and then store them away in my long-term cold room storage. So this book basically gives you all you need for recipes as well as testing your jam that you're making that doesn't have pectin in it. When you're using pectin, it's pretty much a no-brainer. But when you're not, you have to know when your jam will set. You don't want to do all this work and in the end not have your jam set. So it explains how to run through that. And basically you put a small plate into the freezer before you begin making your jam, and then about 5 minutes into that rapid boil stage, you want to spoon out a little bit of the jam onto that plate that you have in the freezer, put it back into the freezer for about a minute, take it out and test it. If it's the consistency and the taste you like, then your jam is ready to be jarred. This book is a great resource for beginner and small batch canning. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and hit that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. Thank you very much and have a great day.